Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, we're looking at a new psalm, Psalm 60. As we look at this psalm, we are given a big description concerning the history behind it as we look at the title. It says it's written to the chief musician, set to the lily of the testimony, a Michtam of David for teaching, when he fought against Mesopotamia and Syria of Zobah, and Joab returned and killed 12,000 Edomites in the Valley of Succoth. Now, if you want to read the biblical history behind the writing of this psalm, you'd have to look into 2 Samuel chapter 8, verses 1 through 14. Also in 2 Samuel chapter 10, verses 6 through 8. And you can see sometimes in the book of Chronicles, these accounts are recorded again for the records in 1 Chronicles chapter 18, 1 through 13, and chapter 19, verses 6 through 19. And David was winning battles at this time in his kingdom and making a name for himself. And you see that in verse 13 of chapter 2 of chapter 8 of 2 Samuel. And David made for himself a name when he returned from killing 18,000 Syrians in the Valley of Succoth. And so you see what probably took place behind this as you read these passages of Scripture. David was fighting against the Philistines. The chapter starts out with David fighting against the Philistines. He subdues them. We believe this is a time after David has established the kingdom. It's a time when he's thinking of building a house for God. Go back a chapter or two here in 2 Samuel. And then he has some uprisings that take place in the north, and he goes up to Mesopotamia, to the Assyrians, and there he begins to fight with them. And while he's fighting with them, a war breaks out in the south part of the land with the Edomites, and they rise up and they're working havoc. It looks like they're going to take over the country possibly. And so David's got his army up north, and so he takes part of his army with Joab and sends them down to fight the Edomites. And you find this in this passage. And so David begins this passage by saying, "Oh God, you have cast us off. You have broken us down. You've been displeased. Oh, restore us again. You have made the earth tremble. You have broken it. Heal its breaches, for it is shaking. For you have shown your people hard things. You made us drink the wine of confusion. You have given a banner to those who fear you, that it may be displayed because of the truth, Selah, that your beloved may be delivered. Save with your right hand and hear me." And then he goes on to speak about how he can be encouraged because God has spoken in his holiness. And so somehow or another, David gets a message from God in the midst of thinking, how are we going to deal with this? We have two major fronts going on in the battle and the war. How are we going to deal with it? He cries out to God, and God answers in some way, maybe through a prophet, maybe God speaks directly to him, and God speaks in his holiness and says, I will divide Shechem and measure out the Valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine, Ephraim also is the helmet for my head, and Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my washpot. Over Edom I will cast my shoe. Now remember, Edom was the problem. And so when he mentioned Ephraim, of course, that's one of the tribes of Israel, and they were a warrior tribe. They were a strong tribe. They were my helmet. They were my protection. They were my shield. But he says Judah's the lawgiver. They're the ones the scepter of the kingdom comes from. David was in the tribe of Judah. And then he says Moab is just a washpot. They are the enemy. David been fighting with them, but I will subdue them. Over Edom, I'll cast my shoe, meaning I will show disdain for them. That's a way of showing disdain. And so Philistia, shout in triumph because of me. And so who will bring me to the strong city? Who will lead me to Edom? Is it not you, O God, who cast us off, and you, O God, who did not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, and for the help of man is useless, but through God we will do valiantly, for he it is that will tread down our enemies. And so you see, this is a great psalm where David is remembering the victory that only God can give in the midst of these battles. Well, God bless you as you think about on this Memorial Day how our God is our God who fights for us, who will keep us safe. He'll take care of us. He knows who our enemies are, and we can keep our trust and our hope in Him. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.